ends, which nobody wants it to end, but then it's like, I don't have a job base. I'm just getting paid until October. What a great life.
Wow.
Well, that has nothing to do with our next guest, though. Joining us right now, analyst for your Sacramento Kings, the one, the only Kayte Christensen. Good morning, Kayte.
Wow, Dave, way to put all my business out there.
What? Like nobody, it's the same thing for Mark and Kyle, everybody else, everybody who's in the broadcasting. That's awesome. I'm jealous. I'm not hating.
Yeah, it's like being a teacher. Right?
That's what I said.
Yeah.
Except they make differences in the world. And you,
Wow.
not that you don't.
Celebrate our differences.
But the thing
that is the pot calling the kettle black.
that is true. But the difference is here's the key with Kayte. I won't speak
Katie's
for
keys.
Katie's keys. I will not speak for Mark. Kyle, of course, has his other job here. You know, everyone's different. It's actually possible, legitimately, that when Kings season ends, that's when Katie's busy season starts.
She's busier.
And she can be done with the hobby, which is the full-time job. Yeah. And that's when she turns to, that stump in my backyard needs a grinding. And, hey, look at this antique 1940s entertainment center I'm going to restore. And, it's been a long time since I cleaned the pipes in my kitchen sink. Like, I guarantee you, if Kayte were to, the one thing I never ask Kayte when we're on the phone, and when I do, I instantly regret it. I go, hey, what are you doing today? She knows that.
Yeah.
She's laughing because she knows it, because the next 10 minutes, Kayte will tell me.
Yeah.
And then
it's not sitting on the couch, is it?
And I'm like, dude, can you pop a bottle of Shard and just put on some dumb TV show and relax? Nope, I got to make the dog food. I got to set up the Ziploc bags in the shower to catch the water. And I've got to redo the sanding on my roof. Sorry, Kayte, I'm just
ranting. Right?
There's so many things in there where you say things and you don't realize that what you're saying is not a thing.
Well, you make your own dog food.
Sanding on my roof.
That I made up, but there's like two
just
truths.
That one.
She
two truths, one lie.
She makes her own dog food. Oh my God, 2 truths, 1 lie with Kayte would be amazing.
Yeah,
because I guarantee you it would be. There'd be some where you're like, no freaking way is that possible. Oh my God. Like, for example, 2 truths and a lie. Like, one of them is like, Kayte hand-picked grass out of her entire yard a year ago. And you're like, why wouldn't somebody mow it or do whatever? Nope, she did it. Why? Because the root and the this and the thing. Right, Kayte?
I did remove all the grass in my yard because I completely redid it. But that wasn't
by hand. Okay. With a little scissor.
Other people do these things. Not everyone pays people to come and change a light bulb, Dave.
That's inaccurate. I paid somebody to change a bunch of light bulbs, and they were special light bulbs.
Yes.
We're just not even going to do an interview. So the whole thing is just going to be messing with Kayte. Good morning. How are you? And you're always a little sad. I mean, obviously, there's positives as a person for you when the season ends, unlike us.
Right.
You're on the road. You're away from your daughter. You're having to deal with, stuff, you're packing, you're all over, there's real personal reasons why you're sad or you're happy when the season ends. But I know overall, you wish we were still playing right now.
Yes, I do. I do wish we were still playing, and just watching how exciting the NBA playoffs have been so far. It's like you kind of feel like you weren't invited to the party. You know what I mean? So. Right. Yeah, I mean, but then you're right, there's the flip side of, I think it was my last road trip that was that New York, Boston, New York, OKC trip. My dad had come down to help out because it was, school, it was Easter break. And of course I was gone, so you need help. And I come back and my daughter had written me a note that was like, I love you, Mom. I don't ever want you to leave again.
What a whiner.
I know. I know. What a whiner.
Grow up.
I try to explain to her all the positives of my job.
Right? Yeah, the roof over your head,
Yeah, all the things. Like, this is how, pay for your school and your toys and this and that. And I was like, and then half the year, you're stuck with me. And she's like, I can't wait to be stuck with you, Mom. And I'm like, I just relish in those moments because there's going to be a time where she doesn't care. It was like, oh, Mom, get out of my face. But she was telling me, she's like, I was like, normal parents, like they go to work, like, except for like Dave, because, you don't really count. You don't have a normal job either, but you know what I'm saying.
Middle finger emoji.
Oh, they go to work, Monday through Friday, and they're there all day long. And then they just really have the weekends and the nights with you. I'm like, you're going to get me all the time. And she goes, can't you just get a normal job? Oh, wow. Okay.
Out of the mouths of babes.
I'm sad that the season's over, but I'm happy because, my kid needs it.
Yeah. I like the analogy of what you said, Katie, about like it feels like you're not invited to the party. Also, it feels like they're not invited to a party that they should have been invited to. Like this was a little self-destruction of a year, unfortunately, for the Kings, all the way to the end. Like they still had chances to get to this party, and their last game in New Orleans, I thought New Orleans was okay. I just didn't think the Kings were very good on their last chance to do it, and that kind of adds to the frustration of the year.
Yeah, I think to me, this season was just so much harder than a year ago for so many reasons, right? The Western Conference was just by and large so much better. And by better, I really mean it was tough last year too, but like it was healthy. You had, like Anthony Davis, for example, played the majority of the games. You had Zion play 70 games. You had, Kawhi was actually available and not choosing when, and he was in and when he was out, and he was playing back-to-backs, and Paul George was available this year. I mean, you just go through the whole thing, and, Kyrie and Luka had a whole season together, and, things were just so much harder. And then there was the emergence of teams that, like young teams like OKC and Minnesota, that like things just really started clicking for them. And of course, Denver's always great. And like you look at the top 10 teams in the Western Conference, and it's like, this is just unfair. It's just brutal and unfair. It was disappointing, obviously, because of the result, but you look at it and it was like, wow, it was just such a harder season in terms of what you were facing night in and night out. And then you add the component that, unlike a year ago, the Kings were not healthy. They had injuries throughout the year that impacted them. And then, there's always games where you look back and you're like, oh, the Charlotte game, the Miami game without Jimmy Butler, you can just go, there's probably 4 or 5 of them that like they stand out. But then, the flip side is that there's games that, on paper, when everyone was looking like, oh, you're probably not going to win that. Right. And you end up winning it. And, it's one of those things where hindsight is always 20/20. You can look back on it, you can pick it apart here and there, but I don't know if people are going to like this or not. I don't know how people view my, overarching opinions of things. Maybe I'm too nice, too kind. I don't really care, to be quite frank. But I think that this was a good season in the sense for the Kings of that this was like a learning season for them. Like they were faced with adversities. They were really challenged in terms of, teams having a year to figure out kind of what they do well, how to take them out of it, experimenting with it. And I think there was a ton of growth for them in that way. And when you look at what they're trying to build, which is a team that is going to be consistently competing in the playoffs, and, the hope is to be a legitimate contender. I think that this season is really an important building block for them getting there. Keegan Murray, second year in the league, the growth that we saw from him, those types of things. It's like, all right, so that pays off. You have to kind of go through these things. It's never going to be an easy ride to be, a team that's going to be consistently competitive and competing for a title.
I don't want it.
I know. I get it. I'm not bemoaning or begrudging anyone that looks at it that way. I just, I guess the component of it, you guys, is like, and I really always hate to say this because people are like, oh, whatever. Like I've been there. I understand like just the battles, like how hard it is to be great all the time, right? To be on teams and what they go through and what the course of the season feels like for an athlete. And like, I look at it as like, yeah, it sucks for fans, like, but I get it on a different level. And so I guess I don't I don't pick it apart the same way. I kind of look at it as like, it's the same thing you teach your kids, right? Like when they fail or when they face adversity, it's like, this actually is going to make you better. You just don't see it right now.
I don't disagree with anything you're saying, weirdly enough, obviously. And I think the future of this team will dictate whether or not this was a good and learning season. I mean, we have to see what happens. And I think it's not uncommon, Katie. We were looking the other day, and it's not an exact comparison, obviously, but you always like to look at Denver as kind of a blueprint for what the Kings are doing in a sense, with the as I've said before, which is apparently a controversial statement, but Domantas Sabonis is the closest center in the league to Nikola Jokic. He's not Jokic, but he's the closest there is. Fox and Murray are very comparable. Keegan Murray is kind of a ceiling hybrid between Aaron Gordon defensively and Michael Porter Jr. offensively. Obviously isn't there yet. And when you look at Michael Malone with Murray, with Jokic, and Murray was hurt for a little bit. There was a COVID year, but he missed the playoffs his first 3 years in Denver. Then they lost in the conference semis, lost in the conference finals, lost in the semis again, and then lost in the first round before they won the NBA championship last year. So when you're talking about learning experiences, when you're, I know that people out there are listening right now and going, well, we're not that well. But isn't that kind of an example of what you're talking about, where teams sometimes have to do the do-si-do before they cross the finish line?
Yeah, 100%. And it's a really great comparison. And we kind of talked about it sporadically throughout the year. And Mike Brown has brought up the comparison as well himself multiple times. And again, it's like every season takes on a different personality, right? Because of the factors that you cannot control, which are injuries, and it changes everything. It changes kind of how a season plays out. And so, your analogy is, I hate to say it, spot on. But I think the one thing that probably isn't talked about enough with that comparison is the patience from the ownership group and the moves that they made in the front office. Like, one piece can really change things, right? And I know that there's a frustration, like feeling like the front office, Monty McNair and Wes Wilcox didn't make moves at the trade deadline. And one thing I always try to implore people to consider is, like, you don't know what was available. I'm sure there was moves available at the deadline, but did they want Keegan? Like, everyone wants a big piece to make a move, right? It's not like, and I see it all the time, people on their, whatever podcast or, blogs, whatever, like, all this stuff. And it's like, well, you can have Davion, you can have so-and-so. It's like, dude, they don't want 3 ancillary players. They want a big player. That's how it works, and it looks great for you because you're looking on how you can benefit your team the best, but you're not looking at what that package looks like for another team. And so I think that, this is a really huge off season because Malik Monk is the big piece, right? And I found his, kind of end of the season press conference really intriguing. It's like you try to read between the lines, you try to figure out what is being said. And then I have my own personal feelings about the statement of, wanting to be a starter. So, I'm like, what are they going to do? What is he going to do? And what are they going to be able to offer? And what happens if they just lose him for nothing?
Yeah. What, can you expand on, Katie, or would you on that, your feelings on him as a starter? Or his desire to be a starter?
I understand to a certain degree the desire to be a starter. I think that that's there for a lot of people because we in the media and fans put so much value on it. And Malik, without a doubt, is he has the talent to be a starter in this league. There's no question about it. My thing is, and everyone's, I heard you guys talking about it, playing the press conference and stuff of like, yeah, why wouldn't you put your 5 best people out there? Well, because you can only play them for so many minutes at a time. So what happens when you put your 5 best people out there together and then therefore just doing simple math, there's less shots available for your 5 best people because they're playing with the other 4, right? Like, and so when you mix that up and you're saying, okay, like to me, Malik, he is the sixth man of the year to me. I don't know when the awards are going to be announced or what, but if he's not, it's absolute freaking insanity. Just looking at the numbers alone are just glaringly positive in his favor. And to me, closing games and being in that closing lineup, it proves your value, right? It's not, saying, getting your name announced at the beginning of the game. And so, I think that having the ability as a professional athlete to say, yeah, like it's not an indictment on my skill set to be the first guy coming off the bench. It's more important how you guys close and what makes my team better, right? What makes this team better? He, without a doubt, makes everyone around him better. And so do you need to make De'Aaron Fox better? Do you need to make Domantas Sabonis and Keegan Murray better? Or do you need to make the guys that are coming off the bench better in that role? Do you want, look at when he was out, you guys, it was glaring. This team all year, great job in terms of bench points and averages and that kind of stuff. And then after he was out, there's games where they have 13 points coming off the bench. Like, how do you win games when 90% of your scoring has to come from the five guys that start? That's where, to me, his impact is so massive. And I think that on this team, his greatest value and biggest imprint and impact on the game is in that second unit, because he really makes everybody better. And then he closes games with four of the starters.
The interesting thing is I think he controls his own destiny on that. I think if Malik says, I'll sign here, but I have to start, I think the Kings have to start him. I don't think there's a choice. And I'll explain that. And I'm speculating. Imagine a situation where Malik Monk leaves and signs with wherever. At his opening press conference, somebody asked him what the tipping point was. And he says, well, I wanted to be a starter, and that just wasn't something I was being offered. This entire city the roof would fly off. And I know that's not how you want to run a team. But I don't, in my opinion, believe that our ownership, much less, that's going to put a lot of people on a hot seat real quick. That's speculation. I don't want to involve you in that, Katie. What I do want to ask you is Malik is making an appearance at a local autograph card show thing here coming up.
Yeah, what's the status on that? You guys have some kind of rally? Like, are you giving your firstborn? What's the deal?
Well, we do have somebody who's having a son in 3 months who said if Malik stays, they will the middle name of that child will be Malik, and they'll present the birth certificate. We have everything from the mayor presenting a key in the city to Taro giving free sushi, Tom Morton free golf at Hagen Oaks, along with Cameron Park Golf Course. The Crest has said that they will offer a free showing of the movie of his choice for him and his friends, along with free passes, all for the duration of his contract to the Crest for every show they have, and free food at Empress Tavern. So we got a lot of stuff. Somebody offered free weed. A local pizza place offered free pizzas.
People will make cookies for him.
3 different people have offered to make cookies for him. I know you can't get involved in this. We're all, you're a journalist with a capital J, and we don't want to be unethical. But
what do you want me to do?
Okay.
Do you want me to is it I'll make your laundry detergent, or I'll landscape your backyard? Tell me what I got to do.
Okay. Well, the first idea I had was, Malik, unfortunately, his dog Bear, we learned, passed away, who he loved very, very much. But I believe he has a new dog. So my first thought was, Katie, would you agree to make his dog? You just make a little extra batch for his dog while he's a king. But, you're very busy. So here's what we also kind of want to put together. We were looking at this list on GQ. They did a video of the 10 things Malik can't live without. It was everything from his PlayStation to headphones to cologne to whatever. Skittles, Gatorade in a can. But one thing he said was Band-Aids, and he said not last year, but the year before when he had the cut and he was wearing the Band-Aid, Band-Aid sent him all these Malik Monk specific Band-Aids. And anyways, what we would want to do if he re-signed is we would encourage all the fans for the first game back as a show of appreciation to wear a Band-Aid on their cheek. And what we were wondering is, and we're going to ask Mark, Kyle, and everybody else, G-Man, would you be...
I'd wear a Band-Aid. It would really improve things.
Well, I didn't say a Band-Aid over your face. We can't do that. No. But Would you wear a Band-Aid on your cheek for the first game?
Yes, of course.
Look at
I
that.
knew she
I would
would.
wear it. I would wear it for 82 games.
Oh, wow.
Oh, Kayte
Yeah.
Christensen
For the
will wear a
duration of
Band-Aid
this
on her
career.
face for 82 games if Malik Monk resigns.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to let you out of that one because that would just
No, like
be a thing.
I might be a rarity in this business. I do not care.
That is true.
She can have him be dazzled, be jeweled and all that
Oh,
stuff.
my goodness. You know what, Kayte?
Yeah, I'll get a bedazzled one like his shoes at that
Yes.
game. Where were we? Yeah,
Yes.
the Swarovski crystal Nikes. Yeah.
You know who would be happy to bedazzle your Band-Aid? Can you take a guess?
Who?
My mother.
Your mom. Yeah. Your mom.
My mom will 100% get you a bedazzled purple Band-Aid. This is the same
Every night.
Every night.
Yeah.
This is the same woman, by the way, that to her credit, when she made the mistake of talking football with me once, she had to wear an Eric Armstead jersey on the air. You might remember that.
I do remember that.
She did pay
By
the
the
bill.
way, I love Eric. So,
I know.
like, it wasn't about that. It was just purely about the team he played for.
Yes, I understand. You're a Packers fan.
So, I mean, it's kind of amazing, this fan base, Kate. I mean, they're all kind of in it. He's got a bigger decision to make on that, but you played. Was anything like that? Could that have had an impact on you?
Yeah, but I think I'm also wired a little bit different, right? Like I for me, I wasn't a Malik Monk. I wasn't a starter, talent in the W. I was a role player talent, and I really wanted to be where it was a good fit for me personally, right? Like the people in the organization, the fans. I was in Phoenix for, 5 years, and like I loved them and they loved me just for the fact that I wasn't putting up a bunch of points, but I like played hard and did the little things and loved being in the community. And so, yeah, I think that for some people it really, really, really does matter. He did say something really interesting in, his interview, and he doesn't show much. He doesn't, reveal much. And that's just kind of how he's always been. But he said something about, just because I make more money somewhere else doesn't mean that it's going to be a good fit.
Yeah, it
for
could be
me.
a worse situation, he said.
It could be a worse situation. Right. And so I think that Malik has to evaluate like what really matters to him. Like if there's a team that's offering a starter position, but it's like, hey, there's been a lot of turnover. That's a new coach. What has their success been over the last few years? What's the direction they're heading? Like, do you want to be in the playoffs, in the limelight, or do you want to be a team that, maybe you guys are going to make the play-in, like that type of thing? What is it that really drives you? Is it just the paycheck, or is it also really trying to strive to be kind of in that limelight and in that position to where like you're winning and you have a chance to win it all?
I'm just thinking, like, is there a situation where you'd want somebody on their team that's like, you know what, paycheck first?
No, thanks.
Like,
There's
honestly.
plenty of people. There's plenty of people that operate that way.
Well, Kayte, we have come to the conclusion of yet another season. This being, I think, your last official responsibility as a Kings analyst until next season. Our exit interview. We do have to break, but I would say, as far as your exit interview goes, I thought you did a great job for the most part. You brought it almost every week. On the weeks you didn't bring it, it was probably because you were on the road and very sleepy. But
are we talking about the show or the broadcast?
Oh no, the show. No, the show. We don't care about the broadcast. How about your performance here with us?
Okay.
I would give you a solid B+ for this season, Kayte.
Yeah, and it's probably not an A because I genuinely like talking to Jason more than you.
That's
the right answer.
Yeah, it was almost a C.
Yeah. But I will say we never figured it out, Dave, but I think Kayte came on probably of the 10 heartbreaking losses.
Right.
I think they might have all been on Tuesdays.
That is true.
Yep. It really feels that way.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations. Check is in the mail. And I don't know the next time I'll see you, but I don't know when I'm going to see you next, but keep in touch.
All righty, guys. Hey, you guys enjoy baseball, okay?
Yeah, we'll expect you to come on and be our baseball correspondent for the rest of the year, if that's okay with you. I know you enjoyed that so much when we did the show together.
I know. I'll review concession stand food for you. Weekly segment.
All right, go make some dog food and go pull some grass. Take care. Bye-bye. She didn't pick up on that. We're actually having we have a tradition every last interview. So I'm gonna take her to breakfast afterwards because I don't ever see her anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So when I said the whole I don't know when I was gonna see,
she didn't get it.
Just
like in 40 minutes.
She's not she was raised in a farm. Not that that's wrong. Anything wrong with that? I was just pointing out it. Don't put inference the stuff. I was just pointing that out. She was raised in the sticks. It's fine. That's why we love her. We'll take a break when we come back. What to watch?